back again, folks. This is Lit Literature, talking Wizarding Glass, Part 2, the end of the book. You're with the Shoutouts. This is your host, the Demon. And we have the usual suspects, including the El Capitan.
The captain is coming to you live from Lud.
Just saw it for you.
Man,
Just
you got
The hitman here.
How's all the bodies there? They were all gassed by Blaine, right?
It's pretty rough, yeah. I don't think there's many people alive left. It smells kind of weird and funny.
Shit, we lost the captain.
All right.
We got the hitman here for round 2.
That's right.
For those of you that don't know, Ben got his very first phone call ever 5 minutes ago.
I didn't know these cell phones could receive phone calls.
Because it wasn't a hit request, right, Ben?
I didn't
it
know
wasn't
these
one of your
text
contracts.
How did I receive a...
And Brett, the director.
I mean, it's not wired to anything.
I know.
Dude,
All right.
Ben, I love your fax machine that you had at the old apartment. That was pretty boss.
Ben's
It was
Ben-
the height of technology.
Ben would always be like, Brett, I'll just text you the details.
Yeah.
It's not a text.
He's like... Yeah, Ben's over here. He's like, I need to get Citgo oil in my car.
I'll just be taking pictures of web pages and printing them out and then faxing them to you.
Ben's fax machine runs on Citgo oil.
All right, so let's start this particular podcast off as a continuation, diving
two.
straight into, like Roland did, Susan Delgado.
Girl.
I'll dive into that.
How much of each...
Oh, it's just,
I've never heard Ben say anything like that in my life.
Then obviously you don't know me. I've never said
He's only faxed it to me. He's never said it in person.
I've only texted to you.
oh no. All right, guys.
We're getting derailed by Bane the plane. Bane.
Yes.
Oh, man.
So we've got Susan Delgado.
Yeah.
In this case, 16, blonde, and about to become a Jilly for good old crinkly
Is
Mayor
it Jilly
Thorin.
or Gilly?
Gilly.
Like Gilly
Jilly.
Weed, right?
Gilly.
This is the audiobook. It's
I
Jilly.
did.
I think it is.
Yeah, I thought it is Gilly.
It's Jilly, guys.
It's
Listen
Jilly.
to it twice.
It's Jilly.
All right, I don't remember, so I'm gonna say Gilly.
Well,
Anyway, so
time to have a Brett bet on
so
this
she's
shit.
she's a Jilly Gilly for the mayor, right?
All right. We're gonna have a Brett bet on this.
No, I don't want a Brett bet on this.
I'm positive it's Jilly.
I am on your side as well, Demon. It's Jilly.
All right, Brett bet. We're saying Gilly, you're saying Jilly. The stakes are this. The losing team has to go to the store and ask if they have any Gilly or Jilly, whichever one it is.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
You have to go to like a grocery store and ask every single worker there what aisle the Jilly's in.
Dude, I am totally down for that.
All right.
All right. I'm good.
You guys will get to if we're incorrect, which we're not, Demon. But if we are, you'll get to see some of the weird exotic grocery stores we have out here in Arizona.
I'm gonna get scared when somebody is just like, oh, aisle 4.
I could get Jilly's on aisle 4.
Oh, jeez. Now I gotta go see what this is.
All right. So anyway, Susan Delgado. She's got to go meet. Well, she's actually tasked to meet and paid for by Mayor Thorin to go see Rhea of the Coos and get documentation proving that she is in fact pure. for some reason, Mayor Thorin not only wants Susan Delgado as a Jilly / Gilly, but he wants her also to be proven pure, which would make sense for a wife. But I'm having a hard time.
Yeah. Like he wouldn't fuck her if she's already.
That's what I
not
mean.
pure.
Exactly. Yeah. That seems just a little out of con. I mean, but apparently he's clearly a greedy man.
I think
so.
The thing that the purity was more to not towards virginity, but towards not being possessed by a demon or having a demon seed.
Was supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
Though in the end, it came out to be more about the other.
Well, I mean, it's a whole purity test, so you got to check both.
That's true. And also, by the way,
But
as we know, Susan Delgado and Roland have both been raped by demons in this book series.
Wait,
I mean, not Susan Delgado. Susan
Detta.
/ Detta
Yeah.
Holmes.
Yeah, Susanna Holmes.
Detta, Odetta, Susan Holmes.
Yeah.
Because, well...
They're
So,
both
I
named
guess...
Susan?
Susanna.
Susanna, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, that's
I
Like, who are you
meant that.
talking
It's
about?
weird.
I got all their names messed. I'm
The
sorry,
names
guys. I
are
meant
that
Susanna.
similar. It's
Yeah.
kind of a weird parallel. I actually
Yeah.
didn't realize that until now either.
What?
Kind of weird.
Oh,
yeah.
she brings it up in the book. Susanna's
She does,
like, I want
yeah.
to hear who this Susan is because
Yeah.
it's so similar to me.
And I apologize because I was just going on a...
You just
No,
don't.
rant.
It's fine.
Go for it. So,
Yeah.
we're sending
Susan.
Jilly.
Susan.
Are you Jilly or are you Gilly team now?
Gilly to Rhea of the Coos to get checked out for something. I didn't even think about a demon spawn at all. Do they mention that in
They
there?
do,
I was
yeah.
thinking solely
Yeah.
just for virginity
Rhea checks
reasons.
her for demon
Okay.
contact.
Moss
And probably for a
Thanks.
muty strain as well to
Yeah.
make sure
Yeah.
she's not carrying muty seed.
Because, she checked between her toes and, like,
So did they
for
procreate
web,
with their Jillies?
web digits.
yeah.
Well, the entire point
They
was
do.
that Mayor
For a son.
Thorin...
For a son. Okay, that's what a Jilly
Mayor
okay.
a Jilly is
thought it was
kind of
just-
like a concubine.
Yeah, I thought it was just for...
So it is just for that, but Mayor Thorin, his wife, can't have kids.
Okay.
So
and then opened the door for Jilly. Or
Right.
Gilly.
Right.
So its whole thing is for a son to continue
is.
on the
It
line.
seems
okay,
it seems
okay.
like this is a long-standing
that.
tradition in Magus. So I'm thinking that
Yeah.
that even though former mayors' wives were probably fertile, they probably still had this tradition in place anyway because the mayor could do whatever the fuck he wanted, and he's like, "Yeah,
Right,
I'm gonna have a
yeah.
couple wives on the side."
Because
Possibly, yeah.
Apparently King Arthur had like a ton of Gillies or Gillies.
100, I think he
100
said.
and
Yeah,
all the
of them were barren.
gunslingers are
They're descendants
Descended
of the
from the
Gillies,
Gillies.
yeah. Which is actually why Roland Deschain is a direct descendant of Arthur Eld.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
He's got like 80,000 descendants,
but
probably.
when you're emperor of the world,
Yeah.
in the old times especially,
Yeah.
that seems to be what happened historically, especially in Egypt, and especially in pretty much all
Everywhere.
of history.
Yeah.
So-
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rhea, that scene with Rhea and her is like really disturbing. Like super
Oh.
disturbing.
Yeah.
Just
Scary.
like not only that she has to like do this check on her, but also the way in which she conducts the check just
Oof.
seems super cringy, super creepy.
And at the
Yeah.
end, how she adds that little extra
Yeah.
bonus.
Yeah. I know, without even asking.
Oh
Just-
boy, yeah.
It's like, oh,
There-
there's plenty of ways to please yourself.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
Dude, there's a lot of really, really disgusting things about Rhea of the Coos. And this
Yeah.
comes up later in the story, but I just kind of want to talk about them now, just to get them out there. Mm-hmm. The first
it.
thing is Ermont.
Ermine.
Did you guys? Yeah, she uses her snake to, like,
Yeah.
Oh.
Get pleasure. And that was
Oh.
pretty vile, that the snake, like, crawls up her legs and pleasures
A
her.
venomous
That's
snake.
so vile on so many levels.
Oh, yeah.
The second thing was...
many men that can pleasure like her
God. The second super disgusting thing comes to close to the end, where she's really drained and debilitated, and she needs some sort of other source to get power, and she goes over to frickin' Aunt Cordelia's house, and she hypnotizes her, and she's like, all right, open up your bodice. And then she cuts a line in her belly and starts sucking her blood out to get power. That's so gross.
After, by the way, Aunt Cordelia, in all of her tired and insanity, still decides to help that old gross woman up. Mm-hmm. Then she's like, I just cut you. Ugh.
I know.
Oh, man.
So
Agreed.
she's almost like witch-like. Like she seems to have powers. Like you can't just like suck somebody's blood. And
No,
get
she's definitely a witch. She has
She's
powers.
Yeah.
I mean,
She
she
definitely
threw
is.
a fireball into the fireplace and things like
Oh,
that.
did she?
She did. Yeah. She also is so strong with the touch that she could have magically locked if she had time, and she also cut a new hole in
It
the
wasn't
floorboard.
She didn't cut it. She opened it. It was already there.
Oh, okay.
You had to have the touch to
Open it.
unlock
Yeah.
it.
I see. But
she
either
has
way,
really fine control over it, unlike Alan at the time.
Alan. Stephen King even kind of says she's almost like Wicked Witch of the East.
Right.
Drawing the Wizard of Oz parallel.
Yeah.
There was one really cool, awesome theme that I wanted to bring up right now, which Rhea of the Coos exemplified really perfectly, and that's the theme of addiction.
Yes.
In a lot of horror stories, addiction is kind of glossed over as an extremely like expendable character who just gets offed right away. The characters are like, oh, that person's got an addiction, let's just kill him right away as one of the first victims or whatever. But in this story, one of the main antagonists has the theme of addiction going for her, and it's almost like you get a lot of power from becoming a witch, or from, to give another example, from using the pink glass.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But and the draw is very sweet and powerful at first. Like you gain a lot of benefits from this, but in the end, it slowly sneaks up on you that this thing is killing you and taking your life. And you definitely get that addiction theme through her character and a lot of the other themes throughout the story.
Right.
Like eventually, it gets to the point where Rhea of the Coos stops eating, stops drinking, and just becomes this disgusting skeletal,
She actually starts to shit and piss right in the spot that she's
like
viewing
she
the
gets
glass in.
she gets scurvy blooms all over her face, which is so gross. Like man, what a good like parallel for the addiction theme for her.
The amazing thing too about this is in most stories that addiction character, like you mentioned, Captain, gets killed off immediately. Mm-hmm. In this one, she's like, "Now, Cully, I got more in me than I look."
Yeah.
And she did. Mm-hmm. She outlived them all. She fucked everybody over. She, in terms of like the other, Jonas, you're gonna die, so I'll just have you bring this.
Yeah.
I'll just have you bring this because you're on your death's bed. Like, that was all a mistake.
Well, the interesting thing about her addiction is it's an addiction to something that necessarily won't directly physically kill her.
Yeah.
You know, like an addiction to alcohol or an addiction to drugs. Usually it's the addiction that does you in, and you'll do anything to get that addiction. So she, in order to get her addiction, has to keep outsmarting them, keep surviving. Like, her addiction is keeping her alive almost because she needs this
Unless
thing.
she has it, because then when she has it, she ignores all of her needs.
Exactly.
And then
She just sat there and wasted
dies,
away.
wastes away.
Yep.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
So what do you guys, that's Rhea of the Coos, obviously.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of Susan, though?
One more
Character.
thing about
Oh.
Lisa of the
Rhea.
Coos.
Rhea.
of the Coos. That most, except in this series, because Eddie, is that his name?
Yeah.
Is also
I know.
a-
Now
Yeah.
we're so ingrained in
Yeah, I
the
know.
cute part, we're like, Eddie.
But like people portrayed in like books and movies who are addicted to whatever, always like weak and failing characters.
Yeah.
But like Lisa the Cruz is like even addicted, like super like manipulative and strong, and like she can still get you.
Yeah.
And I find it like interesting that even addicted, like everyone knows she's like a fucking skeleton at the end of the book.
Yep.
That she's still dangerous.
Yeah. And she still has influence and power over people.
And she's still like smart and strong, not like her mind's not gone yet.
Yeah,
Right.
It is in a way a little bit interesting because Eddie was like that. Because Eddie was a heroin addict, and he was a contrast of his brother, who was very weak in addiction. Whereas if Eddie, despite addiction, was strong.
Yeah.
It's kind of like crazy.
Well, we also, it's hard to say with Eddie, though, because we also never, as far as I know, saw Eddie actually high. So we don't know how his
That's
brother
true.
was when he wasn't high. We always saw his brother
It's a good
while
point.
he was under the influence.
Yeah, it's
so,
a good point. Eddie was
that's true.
micro quitting,
Yeah.
and then we never got that. So, good point. So, Susan, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a really strong character. The only parental figure that she had past the age of like 7 or 8 was her miserly Aunt Cordelia, who's a very vile character who I'm sure we'll get to very soon. But Susan herself is super strong. I think that she's a really, really good role model for people who don't typically have a lot of power associated with their positions in society. It was kind of expected that she would just marry and like have a bunch of kids, but you know, she was being manipulated by her aunt to get more power, and she said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to forge my own path, even though there's no spot in society for me to do so. She did it anyway. And in the very end, Susan was reminded of the face of her father, and rather than showing pain or exemplifying any regret or double decisions about, regret about what she had done, she was pretty proud in the face of death, because she was looking at death incarnate in the very final moments, and she was pretty much a boss. Handled it like a boss.
I do have one gripe with her, though, that I think, nobody's perfect. I think that even strong people are often weak. You know, it's just how often are you weak, how often are you strong?
Yeah.
And this isn't like a criticism of hers, but I thought it was unfair of her to say to Roland, like, if you want me to stay, then make me stay, or whatever she said.
Yeah.
That's like, it put almost all of the blame on him if things didn't work out. It made her kind of like not have to make the decision. I felt like she should have just, should have, would have, could have, it's hard. She's in a tough situation. I'm not blaming her. I'm not judging her. I'm just saying, I thought that was a little unfair. And that also opens up Roland to the possibility of later being like, where she could be like, well, why'd you make me stay? I was supposed to do all this shit. It's like you could totally just blame it on him later. That's a tough situation to put somebody.
The good thing about them, though, I think, is that neither of them gave a shit that much because they were too young.
Yeah, then. At that point.
I think the exact quote was somewhere along the lines of, if you want to love me, then love me.
Then love me.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
By the way, that would have been
I'm
a much
pretty sure at one
better.
point she said,
hey, I'm just
something
gonna
like,
throw
"Don't
this
let
out
me go,"
there.
or
Is that
something.
later, right at the end, when he's like, I want to go with you into the battle? And it's like, no, go to this house with the red door. And he's like, is that when you quote him?
No. Well, it happened actually twice. The first time, Roland turned her down and she got pissed at him.
That was Andrew's quote.
Yes.
If you love me, then love me. Mm-hmm. But
okay, so I found the exact quote.
It was 3 times. It was the same.
Yeah, she delivered this quote multiple times throughout the story, and it was just, if you love me, then love me.
Yeah.
Was her exact quote.
First time he got pissed. Oh, she got pissed and left. Second time they made love.
Yep.
And
the
then
third time, Roland said, I can't because I won't be able to go forward with the plan.
Right.
So that was the 3 times that it happened.
But there was something else she said when they were right at the end of the series and they said like, oh, do you want to come with us into battle?
Ah, yeah.
Or go into the house by yourself with the red door, wherever that the cabin.
Yeah.
I think that's what Brett was talking about, that one section.
No, I think I was talking about. I forgot about that, but that's a good point. But I think the part that I was thinking of was if you want to
Before
love me,
it
then love me.
happened.
But the context of the whole scene, not
Yeah.
just that
Yeah.
quote, was her basically saying, "This is on you to get me to give up my responsibility."
It kind of exonerates
I didn't feel that way.
herself,
Yeah.
and she's putting all of the decision on Roland's end.
On
of
Roland,
things.
yeah.
I get that impression from that quote exactly, and I didn't think of that until you brought it up specifically,
Yeah.
Brett. But yeah, that makes sense. It's almost like a self-exoneration thing.
Yeah.
And
I don't know about the exoneration part, but she did that. Whether it was self-exoneration,
that's right.
she literally said, if I go any further, I'm broke anyway. And then she's like, I am broke. If he says it, I'm good. And then she put it on him, probably, in a way, to...
The first time it was...
Take that blame
she
off,
said
but-
it, and Roland, like, kind of he charged, and then she got super mad and left, but he never said no,
No.
and she just overreacted. But the second time, Roland's like, if you ask me that again,
I'll say yes.
I'm going to say yes.
But that was perfect because it also put the blame back because he let her know that if you ask me again, I'm going to say that. So it was good play.
Either way, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things because Susan Delgado was satisfied in a way with her decisions, nonetheless. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
So,
But not only
that's
that,
funny.
I want to throw something out right now,
right.
and that is, let's say that none of this other the good man shit was going on. Susan Delgado decides to hook up with little old Roland Deschain, who's little but old in a way. Good old little boy Roland Deschain, and then go back to Gilead and become the heir to Gilead.
Yeah.
Instead of a Jilly to some mayor decrepit Thorin on the boons of Magus.
There's no heirs. It's all voted.
It is, but
So-
he is clearly a high-level noble.
He's a noble, but he's not an heir. He's not going to inherit the throne of Gilead.
But he is...
He's a gunslinger, and if the other gunslingers vote him,
Yeah.
he could become.
But
the
if he's
next
not,
Lord
he's still
of
a
Light.
noble and
Yeah,
heir
he's a noble,
to
definitely,
a
yeah.
very high, powerful family in Gilead, which already trumps the barony of Magus.
But she also feels like almost a responsibility to her aunt, right? Like
Yeah,
she's
to
kind of leaving
Cordelia.
her high and dry.
Honestly,
when
I think
leaves.
she felt more of a responsibility to the land that her father used to run.
her father's house, her father's
Which was a
place.
mistake because
Yeah.
her father,
Yeah,
Her father would have wanted
clearly
her to be
murdered.
as happy as possible.
Clearly murdered for his knowledge and ability to not want to really be involved with the good man.
Yeah.
yeah, we
So-
could talk about that right now. That's a good lead-in, Demon.
I agree.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's super... there was a conspiracy from the get-go in Magus. So it's kind of cool the way King reveals it to you. It's not something that's outright obvious. And even Susan herself, who was a direct witness to this scandal, didn't really realize it until some of the pieces were starting to come together from Roland's clues.
Yeah,
I think-
I wouldn't even call her a direct witness because she was just like in the surrounding vicinity.
And her father's friend told her, "Oh, the horse tripped and he died or whatever."
Yeah.
She
I mean,
believed
this-
it.
Oh,
At
it's
the
such a
time,
small
she believed
town.
it. But
Yeah.
I think
Her
in the back,
father's good friend told her that. Like, why
But
would you
think
not
about
believe
this
it?
for a
right? Why would
second.
you not believe it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about this for a second, though. The story that we're reading is so big that the story that could be a book on its own about the betrayal and crazy movement of this small town in Magus, which could be essentially a story on its own, was just some little offshoot. Oh.
Yeah.
Like, that's how big the story we're reading is. It's like this entire... I mean, that could have been a whole story about this...
Because it's a story about worlds moving on.
Yeah.
And when you have a world, you're going to have millions of cool stories. You know what I mean?
Very true. So, but yeah, I think... I mean, they never really clarify it, except for they know that her dad's last journal is clearly indicating of the fact that he knows some shit's going on.
You know some shit? Also, it was later, about 75% of the way into the book, that her aunt curses her brother, like, why didn't you go along with
the whole town?
Who, like, whatever the guy was, the blacksmith or her friend. And it's like, she actually, because there was suspicion she knew that he was killed, but didn't know why, but she, like, brought it on herself.
And she let it go. Well, then there's who we're talking about, the her, which is Aunt Cordelia.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I just want to say real quick, there was a lot of sections narrated from Aunt Cordelia's perspective throughout this story, and I felt like I was reading the 4th book of Game of Thrones, where every other chapter was from Cersei's perspective. And I'm like, fuck this. Like, I hate this character. I hate you. Why are we getting your perspective over and over and over and over and over again? And, like, it felt like there was a ton of parallels between Cersei Lannister and Aunt Cordelia. And it's like, dude, why is King writing from her perspective again? I hate this character.
I don't know. I kind of got the. I mean, I agree with you. She's definitely not a great person. But I also got the feeling at moments that, unlike Cersei, I feel like the person that she was like using and manipulating for her own good, she actually genuinely did kind of care about her and was like confused at moments about why she didn't love her in a way. I don't know. It was. I thought that there were. I felt like there were moments where I was just like, oh, she seems genuinely hurt by.
In the beginning, it seemed like that for sure. But then in the very end, like in the last half of the book, it seemed like she was really just looking at Susan as a resource to be utilized. And at the very end, it kind of vindicated that viewpoint when she was in the crowd when they were crying out "Char-Yu Tree," and she like threw all that garbage at Susan. She's like, "You bitch! I hated you! I hated you!" Like it's like, fuck Cordelia.
She was insane.
She saw her.
At that point,
she saw her as a resource all along.
But I disagree with you, Andrew.
Oh wow.
I do like. I know how easy it would be to agree with you. I think she didn't. I think even at the end when he was throwing ash at Susan Delgado and saying and like excommunicating her, like, and Susan's like, "I forgive you," and she's like, "Oh, don't touch me," and she's like, had that deep down inside realized that she was wrong, and then even though she turned like right around later, it's still there. She cared for her, except her insanity. Well, it just drove her past the point.
Because before that, do you guys remember the scene where Aunt Cordelia made the stuffy that resembled Susan? And she burnt that, and she's like, yes! Like, I'm gonna soon witness, like, my stupid resource that has failed me. I'm gonna witness her burning and dying. This is so pleasurable to me. Like, that scene right there, because she was in her own shoes in that scene. I'm like, dude, Cordelia is such a horrible character. She never viewed Susan as a person. She was always just a resource to be utilized.
The way that
I saw it was the way that I kind of thought that it might have played out, although I also agree with your interpretation. But an additional way that I thought it could have played out was just this lady that was thrown into a situation of taking care of somebody that she did not sign up for, and she's taken care of her whole life. and then she sees a situation where finally, like, all of her hard work and all of the, you know, raising her and loving her throughout her life can come to, you know, a fruition where she'll get something in return. It's like, I didn't sign up for this. I can, you know, use this girl, and not only that, but this is going to be good for her. She's going to be in this amazing house, and she probably felt like she was doing all this work for her. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that that's not a delusional point of view, but
Right.
I do think that there were moments where I felt like she genuinely did love her, genuinely did feel like she was using her, but also doing what's best for her. And then she goes around and goes behind her back and sleeps with this guy that's murdering people in their town. I feel like she just snapped and felt betrayed, and that doesn't make her not crazy, because obviously she snapped. But
Yeah.
I do think that there was caring there at some point. I don't think it was 100% completely
I mean,
just using
she
her.
was definitely what we would call the 40-year-old virgin. So in Cordelia's mind, I think she did feel like she was owed
Yeah,
this.
she's
I'm owed
certainly-
this because I took care of this girl. I didn't ask to take care of
Right.
my brother's girl, and
She's-
I'm only taking care of her because my brother didn't even go along with the plan.
She
Yeah.
certainly had a sense of entitlement.
Yeah.
The fact that
Which is
in the
bad.
final confrontation with Susan and Cordelia culminates to the point where Susan realizes that Cordelia knew something about that whole scheme of her
Yeah.
own brother getting knocked off to, you know, sell these horses and sell these lands or whatever. And it's like, dude, Cordelia probably knew right from the get-go. And the reason she didn't raise any kind of a ruckus or at least bring Susan up to have a feeling of conspiracy is because it benefited her in the long run. She's like, well, like from Cordelia's perspective, she's like, well, these people killed my brother and took all of his assets. But in the long run, it kind of goes to my benefit because now I get what little left is to his estate, and now I have Susan to use as a resource in my back pocket.
Yeah,
Well,
but
she had
she could
nothing
have
from
also
the
just
state.
been. She could have also just been sitting there thinking to herself, "Oh my God, these people killed my brother and took all of his assets."
Yeah,
Like, that's
but
scary
why
shit.
didn't? But why
Like,
didn't
why
she?
would I want to bring that up as something to like worry about? Like, why would I want to teach this girl? She's just gonna
That's
get
true.
killed also.
That's true, but I mean, why wouldn't you at least instill that that
Because she
perspective
doesn't want
into?
her to bring up any questions. She doesn't want her to get killed.
I don't. It doesn't seem like that. It doesn't seem like that for Cordelia's
It's interesting.
character.
I'll tell you what. It's hard to tell because there's a lot of narratives that we could put onto Cordelia.
Yeah.
But the truth is, in the end, she was either a delusional, loving asshole or a complete cunt asshole.
Scrooge McDuck.
And
Yeah.
I don't know
I
what
mean,
else.
She's
what to
vile. She's vile any way you look at it.
She is now. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
There was
And
one thing
all-
that I was interested in that the whole reason that she became a gilly because she couldn't find a piece of paper that said her father owned this land and
Yeah.
it's hers.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like everyone knew.
Yep.
The mayor knew, like,
Everybody knew it was her land.
and
Right.
they're like, "Oh, you don't have it? Now it's ours."
Yeah,
and
that's why the government
I'll let
sucks.
you live there. And they took everything: the horses, the land.
Yep. And then to get it back, that was the point.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting
Yeah.
and really troubling.
Yeah.
Troubling.
Yeah.
Because she must have been like 10.
Yep.
Like, not even. And it's like, I'm taking this land.
Yep. And
Yeah,
that's another indication that the area, although it appeared at first like this nice little rural
It's corrupt.
thing, was very
Yeah.
corrupt.
Correct.
So-
Yeah.
I think that talks Susan and Cordelia.
Mm-hmm.
We talked Rhea. What about
Do we
Shimi?
want to? Oh, Shimi.
See me.
Or Jonas or whoever.
Yeah.
We
Shimi.
Sure, we can talk about Shimi.
We did touch on Shimi a little bit already.
Oi.
Yeah, he's definitely oi.
Yeah.
I think he's totally smaller than he was. Other people thought he was in the book.
Yeah.
People were
like
not
him.
giving him enough credit.
I think he played the fool, even though he probably was a fool.
No, he was
sometimes.
a fool, definitely.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't.
I don't think he was
Well,
completely just like
I think he
scheming everybody.
Totally
but-
was like, oh, I don't remember who those people who gave me this letter was. I'm sorry.
He knew how to use his own
Handicap to his
obstacles,
advantage.
handicaps as
Handicap
an
to his
advantage.
advantage,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was
For
really,
sure.
really well played for sure.
Yeah. I loved him as a character. Shimi was
I loved
really,
him
really
too.
cool. I was, like I said earlier, I was extremely afraid for him because I know that Stephen King has the capacity to kill off characters like that, so that made me even more afraid. But the fact that Shimi ended up overcoming all these trials makes him even more crazy awesome.
What about it was pretty badass when he decided to help Susan break him out of jail. By the way, those damn gunslingers being so laxed. 'Cause, again, as you said, maybe outcastled by Jonas and thrown into jail. But Susan Delgado kind of accidentally kills, with Shimi's help, as he's the fireworks in the background, and also the donkey and
He kills the
That was
sheriff
a good plan.
and
the
Deputy Dave.
Deputy Dave, who she grew up with. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yikes.
Yeah, I feel bad for Deputy Dave. He was kind of a character who was out of his own depth and league. Like, this story was... A lot of this intrigue was way beyond him. He was almost an innocent bystander to all of this intrigue. I mean, but he was on the field of play anyway, so you kind of have to...
Yeah.
I don't know. It sucks that he died, but he kind of had to because...
Stephen King says
was
it
in
the
the way.
best. He says, it was duty that killed Deputy Dave.
Yeah,
Who
that gives
wanted
him
to be the next sheriff.
that gives him a little bit of honor streak in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, although most of that town was not honorable. And also most of that
Right.
town got iced. I
It
think
wasn't. It wasn't most of the town, because it was the horse association
Yeah.
and the mayor.
Mayor,
The Thorin house.
also, the mayor, the sister, and the advisor. Who
Yeah.
definitely
Well, in Lee,
hired everybody and got his ass killed.
but the
Yeah.
town, even Roland's like, oh, this town.
and the blacksmith.
Well, even him, like, he made wheels, but maybe I think he was guilty.
He was, because he got killed later on horseback when he was
But
riding with
like,
them.
the Horseman Association,
Ben
was
flipped
like,
on him real quick. He made wheel. He's probably guilty.
He took a lot of wheel. Where are all these wheel jobs coming from?
They even say, like Roland says in the book, it was the Horsemen's Association,
Yeah.
which is a
Yeah.
small minority who are the rich people,
The ranchers,
guilty.
ranch
But
owners.
the people in the
Most
town
of the town, yeah.
was just townspeople. They're like,
Yeah.
they had no opinion one way or the other.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
the people in power, and that's always gonna be.
You
a
know what I
minority
want to
of
know?
people.
And, yeah.
I want to know the goddamn future of those stupid kids who are trying to hide firecrackers and beef to blow up dog heads.
Yeah, what the fuck's up with those kids? Cutting off dogs' tails, blowing off dogs' heads.
All right, now I'm back to the whole town's corrupt.
The whole town is corrupt.
I mean, is that like
so
acceptable?
messed up.
That's what happens when you send your kids to Rio the Coos to get
I know.
tested for purity.
Exactly.
Is that an acceptable behavior in a town
Why are
like
you blowing
that?
up dogs' heads? I just had a finger in my ass. Leave me alone.
That whole town's backwards. Either that
Yeah.
or all of those young boys were cat fans rather than dog fans.
Yeah, well, that's just a whole new set of problems and why I don't
Right.
like them.
So, speaking of cats, how about Rio of the Coos' spider-legged cat?
Oh, the mutie cat.
The mutie cat.
It's cool that she used the cat as a messenger to bring stuff to town.
Yeah.
So Rhea
To
could
get
just
more liquor.
so Rhea could just
Jeff needs
sit
one
in
of
her
those.
fucking shack and look at her fucking pink crystal ball all day. Go have your
I know.
cat familiar do your dirty work. Dude, there was a lot of awesome backdrop of folklore that Stephen King creates with Rhea, obviously, who's a witch. Just the fact, like, there was one moment that really chilled me, and that is when they were talking about the history of Magus and how there's this semi-lost history of during the Reaping Festival, people would burn the stuffies and would paint their hands red, and they would shout this term that people don't really know what it means. It means death and something else, maybe other things. That was like a cool lost like folklore aspect to me, and it was really chilling when Stephen King writes the section where they capture Susan Delgado and they paint her hands red. I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna throw her on one of those fucking bonfires. That was really, really scary to see rustic folklore in that light.
Yeah, and it goes all the way back to Blame the Mono when they're reading Charlie.
Charlie the Choo-Choo.
Char, meaning char you tree.
Tree,
He said that even in the previous books.
And we hear that
char you tree.
We hear that in Gunslinger a lot, don't we?
I think so.
Somebody says char you tree in the Gunslinger, I felt like.
Yeah, he said it because he ran into Sheb.
Yeah.
And he kind of blamed Sheb. Sheb?
Yeah.
That's it.
Sheb,
Dude, for a quick moment, I don't still think this, but for a quick moment when he was when they were talking about like those visions that he had in the glass and how he's being given visions, I was kind of wondering, because I still keep trying to make sense of the Gunslinger. So I was like, was the Gunslinger all just like a vision that was given to him? Was this a dream? But Jake remembers it.
He was, though, given at this point the seed that becomes his future. Which is why he even saw a chair that he didn't understand.
Right.
And he saw a floating chair, which was with wheels, which was
the Lady of Shadows.
The Lady of Shadows. He saw Thunderclap. He saw
the farmer with Zoltan, the raven.
Zoltan the raven with the red hair.
Oh, in this book.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. He saw all this stuff, so there is some kind of a future that he saw.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm really worried because in that future he also saw Oi impaled on a tree, which
he did see Oi
did
impaled on a tree.
Yeah.
He saw some other things too that
disturbing
he couldn't
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely relatively positive that the whole Ka-Tet's not going to make it to the end.
Yeah.
So I'm bracing for that over the next
so Roland
84 books that we have.
Roland said that his friends die. He also...
No, I'm talking the current Ka-Tet.
He also says he has played the betrayer.
He has played the betrayer. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
We'll have to see the past, and you know, and I'm sure we'll have some deep philosophical discussions as we continue on.
Mm-hmm. One thing that definitely changed my perspective of the Gunslinger was seeing the town of Magus really incited to mad mob, like a mad mob mindset. Yeah. And looking at that and how, because Roland saw all of that in the pink crystal ball, so he saw what happened to Susan and how all of his former friendly acquaintances in the town had turned to these raving goblin lunatics. And you kind of look at how he reacted in Tull in the first book, and you're kind of like,
that's what I was going to say.
Like, his actions in that book were a lot more justified now. Like, you could kind of see how he would just be like, screw this, I'm not going to let myself get burned at the stake. I'm just going to gun all of these people down.
Yeah.
And they were a raving mob at that point.
Yeah.
So,
but even then, in the Gunslinger, he waited until it
was necessary.
To the breaking point.
Until the breaking point happened, and then he...
Well, he was also much more trained by that point.
Yeah.
He's much more a gunslinger, seasoned.
Yeah.
He was a seasoned gunslinger at that point.
Yeah. As a weird callback too, they mentioned the preacher woman who had made her way through Magus and talked to them, but she left like pretty quickly. It's like,
was that her?
They did mention the preacher woman.
They mentioned her, yes, by name.
Yep.
I couldn't remember offhand when I heard that.
Yeah, they mentioned
she had
her by name.
gone through a little before the boys arrived, and they had mentioned that.
Yeah, like I know that section in the book, but I couldn't remember if that was the same person in Gunslinger.
It is.
It wasn't,
that's the same
and apparently
person.
Sheb made his way later further out
Over
west.
to Tull, yeah.
Yeah, to Tull. So, very interesting.
So before we wrap it up, do we want to hit on the Thinny
Just
a
hit
little
on
bit?
The Thinny. It's a good way to close.
Yeah.
So, the Thinny creeped the shit out of me.
Yeah. The thing that made it like most visceral for me was when he was describing just like the fact that it's just like blaring noise, like people can't like listen to it and stuff like that. It's just weird.
Also, I love the description of the general. I forget his name. You brought him up earlier, Captain.
Yeah.
Mexican from the army.
Montego, I think, right?
Montego, that was it. How he followed them into Roland's trap and just started to watch his men like get eaten alive by the Thinny.
For the record,
then-
it's Latigo.
Oh,
sorry.
Latigo.
Latigo. Yeah,
Latigo.
Latigo.
Let's
Yo, man, Andrew. You got that shit.
Got check down.
Lockdown.
I was worried for Cuthbert quickly, but he only lost the tips of his cowboy boots,
Right.
thankfully. But all the same, Time was still acting weird at that point. Because, but that was kind of a unique and very creepy scene to read. All those boys, essentially.
Yeah.
There was one clarification thing I just wanted to ask real quick, because that scene was a little hard to read as a reader. At one point, did Roland and Alain and Cuthbert go into the Thinny and then go back out to lure the other dudes in, or no? Okay.
Nope. What there is there was a little pass that you could climb up on the left side right before you get into the Thinny. But it's close enough that Cuthbert was kind of pulled in. And actually even Alain was with him, but not quite as far. And it was only Roland's gunshots and then a pullback. Oh, it was gunshots that woke up Alain, and Alain just grabbed Cuthbert and pulled him back.
Yeah, because even the first time they went to see the Thinny up on the cliff, one of them was going to walk into it, and they got put back.
Yeah.
They basically described the Thinny almost like a rip in the fabric of existence.
Yeah.
It's almost like a black hole.
But it has a conscious.
Right.
Like that tries to...
Yeah, I was going to say like almost like a siren.
Yeah.
Like just calling to you, like, come here, but it's like death is here.
Yeah.
And like people are just floating to it.
Yeah.
Like even the animals would like wander into it, even though they like if they're on the edge, they didn't like it, they want to get away.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes
once you got too close, its power
Right.
overwhelmed. And actually, General Latigo managed to survive that for a while, so he clearly had some strength, but after a while, they all went in, and that was a butchery of a huge force.
Yeah, it was.
It was a great plan, but it almost backfired on them. Actually, it could have, depending on how time snapped, because they ended up kind of losing their mindset for quite some time.
What was the good man's name? Marston?
Farston.
Thank you. Yeah.
Farston, the good man.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to hear his reaction to that, because A, the tankers are all completely blown up and gone. Boom. B, like the army that he sent there to secure him is all completely gone. And then C, like Magus is going to be in ruins afterwards. So it's like, what the hell happened
all
here?
of the oil pumps, which he now knows how to refine, are up in flames, and he lost the wizarding glass.
Yes,
Honestly,
and the
I
pink
feel like
glass
he
too.
wouldn't even care. Like, the biggest thing would be the wizarding glass.
Yeah, you're right.
The army he
You're
sent
right.
was just young kids, not veterans.
Well, they were only supposed to pick up the oil that he needed to
fuel the machine.
Use it in the machines,
power
the tanks and
and machine guns or whatever to destroy them.
Yeah.
And like that force he sent down was 100 men, boys.
Yeah. They were.
And they had no experience or nothing.
But again, like the dads, they were probably thinking, good mission to try to give them the first
some experience.
Exactly.
experience.
Yeah.
Like,
Send them down to Magus.
They didn't expect that kind of resistance.
Yeah, exactly. Worked both ways, maybe. So, hey. And then Cuthbert and Elan became gunslingers based on blood alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
but I felt like that force he sent down was just a fraction.
oh, yeah.
Like 100 people.
Right.
He has 10,000 up here.
Yeah.
Clearly, what they even...
I can't prove that, but
I
that's
felt
how
the same way. Yeah.
maybe even hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
I got that
Like they-
impression too. Yeah.
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 One cool comment before we go. Elan, which just a minor character, obviously, in only this book, got a scar being shot through the cheek that stays forever. And such cool little details like that just give these side characters a little bit of life and make you think a little bit about these kind of things.
Yeah, you get invested in him for sure.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
when the first moment Cuthbert opened up the bar and he's like, "Oh no, DePape, you're not gonna kill that poor Shimi." Like you knew like the wit that he delivers. You're like, "Oh, that's not Roland, that's Cuthbert." So it was pretty awesome.
Oh, that scene was so good. That's
Yeah.
probably my favorite scene of this book.
Yeah.
Even though this book is probably my favorite book in the series. So.
Actually, you just reminded me of a question that I had. This is going all the way back to the beginning. Probably should have talked about this before, but did you guys when Roland first introduced himself to Susan, he said that he's not from Gilead.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he
he
said
was like-
somebody else was.
Cuthbert.
Yeah.
Cuthbert.
I wonder why they swapped that instead of just negating Gilead completely to avoid suspicion. Like, why would they change?
They had
where
to
they're
be
from?
all these noble families from like these corresponding areas, and I think they felt that. I think Roland was clearly to Gilead, maybe. I don't know.
I thought
Felt like-
the opposite, that Cuthbert was so odd
He wasn't
from
as
the normal,
good at
like,
faking it.
his personality
Yeah,
was so
they just said
different.
just be from Gilead.
And like he's from Gilead,
Because they're all from
and
Gilead,
those other
right?
two, like Roland and Elan were like so straight shooters.
Yeah.
That they could have been from anywhere. Like
The funny
Gotcha.
thing is,
Yeah,
though,
that
it was
makes
sense.
Cuthbert. It was Cuthbert who could mimic the other areas to get
Yeah.
into the camp later.
Right. That's why I was kind of
Because
confused
he
as
could
well.
play whatever accent he wanted,
That's why I was
just
kinda
based on his
confused as well,
personality.
yeah.
I just felt that since in like normal circumstances, not infiltrating the camp,
Yeah.
that since he was so outgoing, so like different from everyone else,
Yeah.
pretty much, with his weird sense of humor,
Yeah.
that he would be like, oh, he's from Gilead, that's why.
Right.
Well,
Stupid rich people.
I will say that it was his little skull head that happily allowed the mayor to get murdered, but they were going to get murdered
Off his
anyway.
eyeballs.
So,
Yeah.
I say we may have more to talk about. We'll talk about it maybe in unison with the next book, Went Through the Keyhole. But I think we're up on our time, and we talked about what we could. If we think of anything, we'll bring it up and win through the keyhole. Thank you. I can speak a little bit occasionally, and we will read that book in the order it was meant to be versus when it came out.
When it came
this
out.
time.
So that'll be next.
Yes.
Okay.
So Win Through the Keyhole is the next book. Audiobooker, Stephen King does read it. It takes a bit to get used to it. It is a break from our good old gentleman. Frank Miller, unfortunately, won't do anymore.
Miller?
What?
Muller?
Muller. He passed away in between the two books.
He was a great.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he was
audio
fucking.
book.
I think so did the other guy, didn't he? Goodall? Or whatever?
Goodall is around. I don't know if he's He may not be.
I
Maybe
think-
that's
I think
why
he
went through
also
the keyhole.
passed away
maybe
recently.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's why went through the keyhole was what it is. We'll check that, folks.
I'm not
take
sure.
it
Don't
on
quote
this.
me on that.
But I do know that Frank Muller, who is, if you're reading the audio version, was fantastic.
Yeah, he was great.
And he
nice.
did do Gunslinger through, but they redid the Gunslinger, and he had already passed away, so they redid that version with Goodall, who's also good.
Yeah.
Stephen
they're
King,
both really
love you, great writer. And actually, he does read it well, but the voice is just...
I mean, he's not a voice actor.
He's not a voice actor.
He's not
exactly.
you can't expect him to be a professional voice actor, a genius at that, like the two people they hired to do the book series who are like, even for voice actors, extremely good at what they do.
The good thing about Stephen King reading his own work, though, is that he can read it in the exact intent that he wrote it.
Yeah.
So that is a bonus. But it does
we're guaranteed to get the real pronunciation of the names.
It's coming from the author
I mean, is it
himself.
GIF or GIF?
It's GIF.
Yeah.
Send me your hate.
Yeah.
I'll defend it till I die.
I'll take that bet. It's GIF.
It's GIF.
You're wrong. It's not GIF.
I actually do say it's GIF, but it is Jilly.
You had me there.
Gillyweed. Anyway.
All right,
do it.
folks. Without further ado, we will
Cheers.
see you next time.
Stay safe on Reaping Day.
Thanks again for joining us for this episode of Lit Literature. If you liked us, please check out our social media at Lit Literature 1 at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't hesitate to join in on the conversation. We appreciate the conversation, the questions, book recommendations, anything of that sort. Join in right on the social media websites. And don't forget to check us out at our website, litliterature.com, and our upcoming projects, though there aren't many now besides Lit Literature, you can find at lyket.net, Lyket. We do have a Patreon account, but if you truly want to support us, please like and share. Cheers.